Dateline, Arizona, a duel by the desert.
We came all the way from Maryland to handle this business. That's what we think. Yeah, make sure you put that on there. We're going to represent.
The team from D.C., led by a dazzling rookie named Daniels.
For us, it's just like, man, how can we execute the play call no matter what the play is?
A determined performance, and dominate they did.
We could get all 11 guys going in the same direction, we have a chance.
Was it weird seeing Tress White punt?
No, not at all. No, I mean, it's football.
And yes, it's early, but Dan's dudes are in the driver's seat in the NFC East. What to make of Sunday's impressive win? And looking ahead to the Browns coming to town on this week's Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. If you look at that man, I'm halfway smiling. I just got a call from my son. He was scolding me because he said, Pops, last week you talked kind of bad about the boys. You owed them an apology. You're right. This did not seem to be the team that we were talking about last week. We seem to be looking at another team. But to make sure that I show you I do what I say. Hey, Wather, could you give me the Dirty Bird since I'm in Atlanta? We'll be back in a moment.
The man
call somebody,
is back,
call
y'all.
somebody.
We're
He's
back.
back. Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your daddy.
We're back and we're back.
We're back.
Tony McGee,
He's back, y'all.
We're back.
Tony
McGee.
Come on. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee. What's up?
It didn't taste as good, but you know what? I'm glad I had to eat it because you know last week at this time, we were saying this team, no one knew what they could do. No one knew if they could run the ball. Can they defense? Do they have the right players? No edge rushers, no containment, no body in the body of their work. Well, we were wrong about that. And Donna, let's come with it now. You brought Kyle Arrington back on. And when you bring that man up, you're bringing the truth. What's up, Kyle? What's up?
Hey, how we doing? Thank you guys for having me.
I don't know. Alex, are you mad because I brought Kyle back? Is it okay to bring him back?
No, I'm good with Kyle. Kyle has a few Super Bowl rings. So in case you were wondering,
that makes him he's qualified.
I like how Tony apologized right off the top.
I gotta have some qualifications before you join this program.
You guys were saying the same thing about him last week. Why everybody want to act like I was the only one talking bad?
Hey, Tony, all I know is you owe me an apology. You owe the team an apology. You owe a whole bunch of apologies for your statements over the last 3 or 4 weeks. 3 straight wins is this Commanders team, Tony.
My statement has been true, though. Yes, that is what I heard, that they were listening to my calls. That's why they played so well. But let's get for real with this now. You look at this team right now, and one thing that we see, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We have a quarterback that we see that there's a future there. At the same time, we don't want to put the onus on him to be that way today. You can look at the best quarterback in the game at home, and they gave him two years or so to study and wait. We got that. But the one thing I see that's so encouraging, our offensive line had a little problem blocking on the pass. What did they do? Run the ball. Donna, this is what the Washington Redskins did when we went to the Super Bowl. We ran the ball. We ran the ball. We ran the ball.
Hey, Tony, you are exactly right. This team is a running machine right now. And everybody, offensive linemen, they are so happy right now about this team right now. Brian Robinson, 101 yards, a touchdown. And then you had everybody was wondering with Austin Eckler out, what was this team going to look like? Because he is so instrumental for this team in the lineup. But Jeremy McNichols came in and, he had the 21-yard touchdown right off the bat. Then he had another one later on. So although Austin was out and nobody can replace him, they had another guy, depth, to step right in and really, Tony, do a great job. But when you look at this Commanders team offensively for the last 2 weeks, this has been a scoring machine, Tony. 38 points against Cincinnati. A short week, they had to turn it around and then go up to Arizona to play the Cardinals and put up 42 points. 80 points, Tony, in the last 2 weeks for this team to be 3-1. And like you said, Coach Quinn talked about in his presser the balance on this team, and you're starting to see that all around. They're starting to click right now, and he talks about connecting. This team is starting to connect. You're starting to see things. We said that it'll take 3 or 4 games into the season for all teams across the NFL because they don't put any hands on each other during the preseason. And Tony, also Coach Quinn talked about the third down. That was the turning point on both sides of the ball. As far as the offensive side of the ball, they turned those third downs into first downs. And then the defense, which was one of the things they had to do, is get off the field on third downs. And he said that he felt like that was the turning point on both sides of the ball.
But that's always the turning point in the game. If you have to be able to do that 3 down and out, you have to hold them. Do not let them get the momentum to get their offense going the way they want to. But one thing that I think was hidden on Sunday that no one seems to recognize, and I did not until my son told me, Washington played for the first time in a long time with 4 tight ends. And Arizona had no idea how to deal with that. When we were the Washington Redskins and we went to 2-3 Super Bowl, we had 4 tight ends. We had Donnie Warren, Rick Walker. We had we had a lot of great guys coming off the bench, and tight end was our position. Did any of you guys notice that they played on Sunday 4 tight ends?
Tony, as I noticed is you just gave away something. You said it took your son to give you some notes, cheat notes, because
that's why you didn't know it was 4 tight end playing, because you're too busy trying to make me wrong.
I know.
So Tony's too busy on that apology tour.
Exactly, Cal.
Tony, trust me. I get it. Any married man that's been married long enough gets it. So.
Yeah, well, I got 50 for me, so I'm in that box.
Yeah, well, you've been doing a lot of apologizing, man. Donna, you know how y'all do. No, I'm kidding.
Did any of you guys, we having a conversation now, and we're going to let everybody get in, but did any of you notice that they were using that 4 tight end? They were running the ball very well, and I think that really, if you remember well, when the Hogs first came in, the onus was not on passing the ball. The onus was on running big rig. And that's what really got them to the point. And I saw that in the body of the game last week, whereas once they were running that ball so well, it made passing that much easier, because the defensive lineman, when someone come at you and they're only about 6 inches off the ground and they and you can't see where they're coming from, then you start bearing down to play that run. Then the play action comes big. Is that what I saw, Alex? It looked like they were trying to stop the run so much, it finally opened up the play action.
Tony, Jaden Daniels has been so fantastic. I think he's been better than any of us, maybe even himself, maybe even the team. Anybody would have thought he could have been so quickly. But to your point, yes, I think that the defense has to sort of account for him and what he can do on the edge and what he can do with his legs. So they're kind of darned if they do, darned if they don't. I think that does help open up the running game. It's sort of the opposite. You think run would set up pass. In this case, the threat of Jaden Daniels, who's insanely accurate, insanely dynamic, I think that has the defense automatically sort of on their heels. Sunday was a clinic. This guy and this offense, Tony, I know you're on your apology tour. This offense is the best offense at this moment in football. At this moment, I'm not saying they're going to be this way at the end of the year. I'm not saying some of the other teams are going to figure them out. They're fantastic. He's insane. You refer to him as the quarterback of the future. The future was like a week ago. This dude is so good. He's the talk of the league. Flip around ESPN and NFL Network and look at Twitter, and everybody's talking about them and him. And I'm sort of stunned, because I think even longtime Washington football fans cannot believe what their eyes and hearts and minds are telling them.
But we don't want to fall in that pit. You know what?
Next week, They're special right now.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying. You choose give them their flowers now, but at the same time, you don't want to put so many accolades on this young man that he go out there and the first mistake he made, he feel like he's ruined the game, and you don't want
one
that.
pick.
And he bounced right back.
He had one turnover in 4 games. Nobody does this. Every other team, their punter has to punt. This team, at this moment, it's a story when the punter comes on the field. That's how good things are going. You know, and Kyle knows, and Donna knows from covering the NFL for a lot of years, this can turn on a dime. But right now, it really is something to watch, Tony.
It really is.
Doing his job, Tony. Trustway ain't even doing his job. He doesn't even have to be out there at all. But Cal, when you look at the scope, and I was asking Dan Quinn today about, when he look at this team as a whole, what has been the turning point overall of where this team is moving right now? Because they were clicking on all cylinders on Sunday.
And you can hear in the background, that is my 6-year-old who is a daddy's girl. And yes, daddy will be out in 1 second. Okay, thank you.
I'm out.
How about she? I'm sure she's up there giving them 2 older brothers HE double hockey sticks right now. But no, Donna, to your point, I mean, just DC in general hasn't been this much in a frenzy since Obama wore that tan suit. But no, but rightfully so. Tony, we can only make decisions and give our opinions based in real time. And real time currently, like Alex said, this team it looks legit. It looks the real deal. Playing complementary football, executing in all 3 phases. Jaden Daniels is just an absolute star with a stud. They were able to land with the number 2 pick. And the thing that really impresses me the most, I'm not really a stats guy. I talk football for us. What I see is nuances of the game. But one thing that I learned and what surprised me is that this team has 30 new players this year than they did with the 2023 season, and which is the most turnover for any team in the league as far as new players are concerned. And for them to be able to go out there, gelling the way they are with Donna, to your point, lack of a preseason on top of all of that. I mean, these you go out there, you watch the offense. These drives are just methodical, and actually, as a defense, we encourage the offense to go out there, series in and series out, to try to take that approach with us. Because one false start, one penalty, one negative play, that knocks you. Those are drive enders. But even still, they're not making many mistakes. But when they do, whether it be a penalty, whether it be a negative play, that with Jaden Daniels and this the offense in general right now, they're just they're just out there just firing on all cylinders, So it's they are looking good. And I've been on this show, Tony. I've been on this show as well, and I'll tell it like it is. They've been playing some bad ball for a little while now, but I mean this the DMV, this team, this fan base, this culture has definitely been overdue for a guy like this at the helm playing quarterback. Dan Quinn, all starts at the top, leadership.
You know what? You and Alex both sound like y'all did. Donna wrote the script for y'all. I mean, what's up?
Donna, we gotta give credit. We gotta give credit.
Y'all be calling us the Reds. And the rate we going, y'all gonna get our Super Bowl ratings and call us the Redskins in a minute. They are doing well. Okay, I'm telling you. But one thing that we have to do is we can't get ahead of ourselves like they can't get ahead of themselves. Now, one thing that I do want to ask in segment 2, which we'll talk about a defense that looked like a defense for the first time this year, is do you think the offense running the ball and playing better was a big part of why the defense finally showed up? When we come back, we'll see, can we get some truth? Maybe I got to go out and find a defensive player somewhere because I don't see any on the board that's going to go with me. And Donna, keep your mouth off of me.
I feel attacked. Right now.
I ain't.
was a team deal. The offensive line was blocking their, butts off. Tight ends, receivers are out there, made my job easier, and I'm just out there to help my team win.
What can you pinpoint of how you all are just clicking right now?
Yeah, I think everybody's just doing their job. It's not like there's anything immaculately special other than just being on the same page, working hard, and getting the details in practice so that we can execute on the field. And then when you have a quarterback that's poised as Jaden, you can kind of accomplish everything you need to do, right? You can do everything on tempo, in a rhythm, and find that space where everybody's feeling it, everybody's in a flow.
Jaden does a great job of seeing the field. I think you could see his maturation process coming over these last few weeks. He's confident in what he's seeing, and his anticipation, his accuracy is one thing that's always stood out to me since he got here. And so for Luke to be in that opportunity to make a play across the middle, a little outstretched, but he snagged it, that was huge. I mean, we got so many guys who can make plays, and you never know who it's going to be. Like, as a leader in our receiver group, my message to them every week is just be ready for your opportunity. You don't know when it's going to come, but we got so many guys that can make plays. Your opportunity is going to come. So for him to make that play, and even the play right after half where Noah got a penalty, like a lot of receivers may jog that route. Well, they cut that crosser with me crossing, so that leaves a one-on-one and cover 4, and Noah had a one-on-one. So that's exciting because that's another thing that the defense has to account for. And the strike that he threw to me for a touchdown was a play that we've been repping, and him and I did a good job of just connecting on them back end lines. His anticipation is great, the ball placement is great, and I just try to attack the ball and be friendly.
What do you see taking place, being that, it seems like you all are all on the same page now?
I think it's just the work that we're putting in practice right now. I think Cliff does a great job of empowering us. He knows we're going to be an aggressive offense. We're going to be balanced in the run game and the pass game. If you're a receiver, you take pride in trying to block and spring big runs and screens. That's a big part of our game. And when we throw the ball down the field, the O-line is doing a great job of giving Jaden time, and we just want to be open for him. So I just think it's starting by the way we're practicing. We're having fun with each other. We're practicing extremely hard, and we're really making sure the devil's in the details. When we don't get something right, we're making sure that we go back and get it exactly how we want it. And I think that takes a lot of the pressure off going into game day, because now it's just about executing. You could let it fly and know that you put the reps in during the week. So it's exciting to be a part of this offense. So many guys have a hand in this victory. So many guys have a hand in us being successful. So I think it puts a lot of pressure on the defense going in, week out, when you have to account for so many things. So for us, even when we sputtered a little bit, we found a way to bounce back, and that's the sign of a team that's continue to make progress. So we're looking forward to the challenge against a really good defense next week back at home. But it was really fun today.
I played 14 years in the NFL, and it's always good for me whenever the offense can say the defense was the reason, or when the defense can say the offense was the reason. And Donna, it seems as though we got that here, even though we're getting ready to talk about this defense. And I like what I heard from those guys in the locker room. You hear knowledge, and that's what's important. If a team is going to improve, they can't talk that same crap that they talk every week if they're not winning. These guys are saying we need to do this. We need to attend to tasks. We need to clean up our mistakes. And Donna, not only did they clean it up for the offense, the defense cleaned theirs up as well. Since I'm a defensive player and you have no idea about defense, I'm going to let you handle this. See, we let you grow up big on television. See, you in trouble now. Don't be asking Cal what to do and Alex. Let's see you handle this a little bit.
I'm glad that you put this in my hands first, Tony. But before I transition to the defense, let me just stick with the offense just one more second, Tony. Is the wide receivers that we've been talking about for a long time is starting to get in the mix. They're starting to click. I mean, when you think about Luke McCaffrey, the pass that he took caught over the middle, basically in that fourth quarter that set up the touchdown to Terry, Jaden Daniels zipped that ball in there with fire. I asked Terry, I said, hey, did that burn your hands? He said, I'm okay. But when you look at his stats, I know Cal said we don't look at stats, but I got to give Jaden Daniel his due. 26 of 30 passes, 233 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, first one of the season. But he said, hey, people asked him about the interception. He said, it happens. He moved on past that. 96.3 passing rating, and Tony, at least 85% of his passes in the last 2 games has been 85% is key. So let me just transition over to the defense, because you know what? I like to be true, because the defense, I've been hard on them because everybody needed to be hard on them. But finally, we saw the defense starting to click. And Dan Quinn talked about them connecting basically because, you know, the defensive line, he said that the communication, we talked about all of that over the last few weeks, but everybody on that defense, I'm giving them credit. Best game this season by them or by this defense in a long time. It's just because of what they started to do, you know, as a team in keeping Mary in the pocket, because that's what Dan Quinn said, that they didn't want him to get outside the pocket because, you know, he's almost like a Jayden Daniels. When you let him outside the pocket, he's going to be dangerous. So they contained him in the inside, and that was so key. Jeremy Chin, he talked about this being his best game of the season also. Tackling was a lot better. And the key thing, like I said before, Tony, they got them off the field on third downs, which is something that they had problems with. So kudos to the defense, because we can put a shining star over their head. But, Tony, they still got to get a little better in some areas.
Yeah, but you know what? I got to look at Dan Quinn, and, you know, I think of this old record I used to listen to say, I'm from the hood, and I'm bringing the hood with me. He bought Armstrong here 2 sacks. We worried about the edge rushers. He take another man of safety, and he get 2 sacks, and he wearing the number 6. So I tell you what, I think Quinn is putting his finger on this too, and it looked like the total team is benefiting from it. Cal, what do you see with it? We're talking from a Washington point of view. Tell me what you see. Please make me believe that you know more than Donna. Please.
I don't know about all that, but I'll give it a shot. I think you and Donna, I think, adequately hit the nail on the head. But I mean, if you look at the sound bites from the locker room, I mean, the guys, they're all the key words that you want to hear. They talk about preparation, repetition. They talk about having fun. They talk about going out there having fun. And the game just, you know, at that point, you know, the game is fun. You know, you put all the hard work, all the effort into that week of practice. You go out there, and I mean, it's a lot of similarities when it comes to the environment, how it was in New England. You know, we put ourselves through a lot that we can practice in terms of just mental preparation. And once again, you see a head coach, you know, a leader, you know, even a defensive mindset guy like Dan Quinn coming over, and what he's been able to instill into that locker room, into that culture, infuse into that culture. And I will tell it like this, Tony. I mean, me and you know better than anybody. It's a big difference between expecting to compete and expecting to win. Those are 2 different total mindsets, just feelings that you have. And this team looks like now it expects to go out there and win. You know, before, okay, we'll go out there and lay it out there, see how it goes. You know, that's kind of, you know, how I looked at it for years with this ball club, this organization. But now this team now is just playing very confident. Back over to the defensive side of the ball specifically. Like I said, got them, did their job, got off the field on third down. I like the guy. I like to pick up what's my guy's name? Is it Louvu from Carolina?
Louvu.
I really like that guy as a high motor. Brings a lot of tenacity, you know, to the team. And I mean, you know, guys like that are just infectious. You know, guys you want to play with and play for. So this, I mean, the team has a lot of upside, has a lot of good things going for right now. And then you look at who they have, Cleveland next. I know they got Baltimore after that, but even the Carolina after that. I mean, those are easily two winnable games out of 3. And so, I mean, it's they talk about it being a game of momentum, but it's even a sport of momentum as well. So, so they have a lot of upside they can carry into the next phase of the season.
All right, hop you up. Let's see, bring it, because Cal just brought it. He brought it from the ceiling down to the basement. What's going on, Donna? You tell me about defense.
I told you, I gave them the credit, but Cal mentioned a player that Coach Quinn has talked a lot about is Frankie Louvu. He said that he brings the balance. And when you think about Frankie and also Bobby Wagner's 2 key guys, veteran guys they brought here, those are the guys that's really making this defense go. Bobby Wagner's finished the game with 15 tackles, Tony. And when you and then he had a half sack. Frankie Louvu, Tony, 7 tackles, 0 sacks, forced a fumble. And look at this, Tony. He forced the fumble and he recovered it himself. And this defense right now has 2 forced turnovers on the season. So when you look at those guys, and I talk a little bit about the front of the defense, and we've been hard on them. I'm just speaking for myself. I've been hard on them because we have not seen them bring forward the almost like the secondary, in the safety areas. You don't hear anybody talking much about the defensive front, but to say we need more pressure. But finally, Tony, what they did up front complemented this whole defense overall. And like I said, I can't say nothing about them because I think that they did a good job in scheming up this Cardinals team. And, like Cal said, they've got a rough task ahead of them, coming up. Cleveland is tripping over their all feet, but Baltimore is going to be a tough one on up the road. But Tony, I'm giving the defense their flowers because they deserve some roses this week and not the thorns.
Well, how did they sound in the locker room? Do they realize also that they're playing as a team and I'm part of a team? This is not because I'm doing it all by myself or my defense is all doing it. That this is what teamwork means. Do you see that among the players? Because that is the one quality that you have to get. And Cal will tell you, he's been up in winning situations. You got to get that kind of motivation through the whole team. And everybody got to know everyone has a job. And if you do not do your job, if it's from sitting on the bench and getting water for the other players, then you're not helping us to win. Do you feel that mentality?
Hey, Tony, it is there. Coach Quinn, I asked the question today. I said, what is the thing that you're seeing at this stage of the season that really stands out about this team? And he talked about the on the sidelines, some of the things that we don't see. When the other offense is on the field, the defense is standing up, rooting them on. When the special teams is on the field, offense and defense, he said Jayden Daniel jumped up and he's cheering and everything for various other areas outside the offense, and the same thing that's happening on the defense. So when you're talking about a team that's really together, plan together, like each other, spend time together, all of those things that really makes a good winning team. This is this Commanders team right now. I mean, I've seen them over the last 5 years under the old regime and everything. Never have I seen in a long time a team that is really for each other and not individually. And Doug Williams talked to me at halftime and before the game. He was talking about Jayden Daniels and just the maturity of this guy and just what he brings, the effort that spills over into this team overall. It's a special team bond, Tony. The thing that you're talking about, championship teams are built around.
Exactly. And when you say that, when you talk about the ancillary parts of it, that's what's most important in some situations like this, because the most important person, we all know who that is, or the most important coach or the most important player. But at the same time, it's those other parts that make the whole thing work. And when we get a chance to talk about it, and, as I said, I looked at the defense and I talked about them just as bad as anyone else. But I was glad to see that. We talked about Big Al and them in the middle. Big Al and them played. They didn't do everything right. But you also have to realize the other team, they're a pretty good team too. They have some injuries. They have some stuff, and it doesn't help that their quarterback is Mickey Mouse's high. But at the same time, they got a pretty good team. So I tell you what, we're starting to see something now. But the one thing I don't want, and Cal, you tell me, because you've been on winning situations, we can't get ahead of ourselves.
Hey, Tony, before Cal answers that, let's go to the locker room and hear what your favorite side of the ball has to say. And Armstrong, Tony, as you called his name out, was big in this game. What do you think set the tone from the start of this game for this defense?
I think guys are just ready to play. We feed off each other. Guys making plays left and right, and it's contagious.
Yeah, it's definitely a full team effort this week. Like Coach always tell us, man, we so close to being the dominant defense. We just got to keep on staying with the game plan and chopping that wood. So we're going to see what we can do to get better this game and take it out there to the Browns next week.
Try to take some things away. They try to run the ball. We did a decent job to the end. And just try to take something away from them. This is a good team. We tweaked some of the techniques a little bit, but those guys overall just did a great job with their technique, getting in the backfield and making it uncomfortable for them. Every day, every game, I feel like everybody's growing. I think that's what you want to do. And so when you got guys just kind of pop out and just keep growing, you just want to do that. Now we want the next person to do it, and the next person, we all collectively do it.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to have to take a break right now. But it's no better than to take a break than to go with the facet of the team that won the game for you. Oh, the defense. We'll be back in a moment.
Wasn't a defense.
Next.
What's really exciting is when you talk about a team and you talk about facts, and then you talk about the offense, you talk about the defense. But when you can say special teams played an important part and has played an important part in the last few weeks, that's when you start talking about complete teams. You see, here's a young man been on many complete teams, been affiliated with them, and that's what you have to have. But Kyle, tell me what you see.
Well, Tony, you're talking to a guy who made his bones and had to earn a living on special teams as an undrafted free agent out of Hartford University. Shout out Hartford University. But yeah, so when you talk about complementary football, you need all three phases of the game to be executing on a high level, and that's what you have versus Arizona. Special teams guys went out there, made some plays. Do what they had to do. Defense did a great job. Offense did a great job. So it all works together. And one thing also that I noticed, and I know I talked a little bit about the sound bites from I think the segment before, but another thing that I failed to mention is that it's just everybody's genuinely smiling and happy, and once again, it's just, I know winning is always a cure-all, and that's so don't want to just overstate that. But even the thing about it is, though, Tony, it just looks and feels different. The team has in previous years went on some winning streaks before, but this one feels different. I'm just looking at the eye test, and to pass the eye test, you talk about a kid like Jaden Daniels who just has like a childlike wonder and excitement that he brings to the team, to the game, week in and week out, and like people feed off of that. And so as once again, as a player. And having a great leader, myself and a guy named Tom Brady, he was okay. Don't get me wrong, but he
stuck around and helped y'all win a couple of games.
Yeah, he was all right. He was all right. He helped us out in a pinch every now and then. But I'm not to compare him to Tom or anything like that, by no means. But I just know what the play, not only the play at that position, what it does for a team, but the leadership at that position and what it does for a team.
I tell you what, and when you hear guys talking like that, and Alex, you said you heard some things said that you would like to ask a couple of questions.
Tony, this is the second time that Kyle, he did it last segment and he did it this segment. This is remarkable. Without being prompted, Kyle Arrington, who knows what he's talking about because he played for the New England Patriots. And for a 20-year stretch, they were the class of probably not only the NFL, but probably of all pro sports teams in that 20-year stretch. Kyle last segment said it kind of feels like, it kind of reminds him of that. Given where the Washington team has been for the last 20 years, that is a heck of a statement. And Kyle just again said, and I am sort of impressed because I think we're all seeing the same thing. But Kyle's been there. He played with and for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And I'm not saying this team is there, but the fact that where this team was, and the fact that now a guy who knows, like Kyle, can sense something that even resembles in the slightest bit what New England did with that guy playing quarterback and that guy coaching the team, both of whom are surefire first ballot, wait 2 minutes and you're in the Hall of Fame dudes. Remarkable, Tony. It's remarkable. It can end next week. They can look like garbage against the Browns. They can go to Baltimore and get Lamar Jackson run for 7 TDs, and then we can go back to talking about what we used to talk about. But on this show, this week, I'm talking about what Kyle's talking about. It's there, Tony. It's there. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's there. And Kyle confirmed for me that it's there.
The foundation is there. If you allow me to expand on that just a little bit more, once again, I think they have a firm, solid foundation. Great head coach, well, great leadership. You know, and it's a new regime. Great leadership, great head coach, great quarterback play thus far. I know it's early, Tony, to your point, but it's just the body. It's like, once again, I talk about nuances of the game. The body language makes such a difference. You know, and we've seen rookie phenom sensations at the quarterback play before with this team. And you see go up there and, you know, make bad plays or things don't go their way, whether it's during the game, whether it's after the game, when it comes to post-game press conferences, whatever the case may be. But you just don't get that with this kid, Jaden Downs. He says all the right things. You know, people talk about first in the locker room every morning, last to lead. And it sounds like such a cliche, but that is like the epitome of this kid. And you know, you got a kid like that, you know, a rookie. The ceiling hasn't even reached this. Who don't even knows what the ceiling looks like at this point. If he looks this good already to begin with. So I think they really did their homework. Really, with the franchise, just a right fit all the way around when it comes to just the pieces they have in place right now, just across the board.
And not only with their quarterback, they did that with many other players as well. So I think we like that. And Donna, as you start looking around the league, that's going to be interesting. Like, you know, and I know that our next segment is going around the league, but I just got to say it. It's a mouthpiece of jealousy somewhere in Philadelphia's locker room. And I don't know who got it. But them guys is in trouble out there. Everything that we just said, we've seen in Washington, is left from Philly.
Hey, Tony, you are dead on. Who would have thought that 4 games into the season, we'll be talking about the Commanders at 3-1 being on top of the NFC East division, and the Philadelphia Eagles tripping over their own feet, tripping over other people's feet. Just a debacle up there in Philadelphia. You think 2 years ago they were headed to the Super Bowl, and everybody projected them to be the team to beat. Their draft has been solid the last 2 years, but it's some problems up in Philly between the quarterback, the head coach, the other coaches, offensive coordinators. The way they got stepped on and destroyed this past week. And we're also looking at Dallas. We haven't mentioned them also, Tony, because they struggled to barely beat the New York Giants, because if the Giants had just an ounce of a running game, they could have possibly beat Dallas in that game. So when you look at people down in the division, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles, those teams are having some problems right now. They came into the season, everybody projected them to be the top ones, but it looks like the Commanders are the team that's moving forward and not backwards, like the Cowboys and the Eagles, and the Giants were projected to be at the bottom anyway, but you never know. It's a young season still, but those 2 teams, Dallas and the Eagles, to me, and especially the Eagles, Tony, is in trouble right now.
And, you know, do you notice around the league, and, you know, I'm looking at different things, and now I know we want to stay on the Washington team in different situations like that, but do you not see that throughout the league? And that we can digress and go back to low training camps, no hitting preseason, people not really hanging out together. Preseason when you grow, and Cal will tell you this is when you grow as a family team. And, you know, if you don't grow there, because everyone hurts there, you guys just don't know what preseason really was. We had 6 weeks of 2-a-days and hit every day. That's why, you know what? They had to used to get the cattle prods to get me out of bed. And I tell you, that's just how bad it was. That's what I need to see now. That's why I'm not getting ahead of myself. But I do look around the league and see there's some problems out there. It look like now, and Alex, do we have a changing of the guard around the league? You start looking at these young teams, and you can see promise in them. Even Cal, later on, tell me about this New England team. I know Did everybody say with Belichick gone, they're going to do this? I know they're not just burning the league up, but you do see a difference there, do you not?
Burning the league up, Tony, they ain't even lit a candle yet.
I mean, you got to take from whence they came. Come on now.
Come on. That ain't the same New England team.
I don't know. I'm having some enjoying talking about the Commanders so much. I don't know. We need to take it there to New England right now, Tony. But I mean, you're talking about the NFC East.
Candle ain't even lit yet.
If you talk about, let's first start with the rest of the NFC East. So I have this one guy at the gym, right, that I go to work out with all the time. He's a huge loyal Giants fan as they come. So he said he always wears his hat to the front when they win, and he wears it to the back when they lose. And so I said, "Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a preference thing that you wore to the back." So no, I can't look joke there because they lose often. But anyway, that's not. No, when you think about Philly, you think about the defense regressing there a little bit. The loss of Reddick, I'm sure they would a high elite pass rusher there. There's definitely played a difference. One of the elements there in the difference. You think about the top guy, not your top receiver being out right now as well. And with Brown, speaking of, with Brown, AJ Brown, because you go back to last year, I thought that I don't know if there's something there between Brown and Sirianni or Brown and Hurts, one of the two, because it looked like they were just feeding him the ball. And once defenses caught on to that, the offense started to regress. In my opinion, there when Hurts tried to spread it around a bit more, and now that Brown is not even in the lineup, the offense doesn't really have an identity at this point. At least it doesn't look like it does. And you think about, and if you think about Dallas, they have so many holes right now. It'd be tough to plug them all right now. I'm trying to, they got these massive contracts to, 3 or 4 guys on the team, and so they might be, I don't know, they have some work to do with the holes that they have there. But Tony, since you brought up New England, I think reality just set in. Obviously Gerard Mayo, first year coach, young guy. I played with them for quite a while up in New England. Great friend of mine. So rooting for him, wanted to see him do well, and I think he will do well. They just got to give him time. And I think him and Robert Kraft groomed him for this position, so I think he'll allow himself time and already kind of manage expectations. When they beat Cincinnati, that opening win, Cincinnati is one of those teams, for whatever reason, they just always get off to a slow start. So didn't want to put too much into week one there. But when you think about a team in New England, they just just a lack of just talent. I don't say talent, but not enough superstars, not enough stars to go around right now. Or guys that make big impact play guys. And so I think as they next year or so, fill out the roster a little bit more, attract some free agent guys, do well in the draft. Still, they'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Well, you know what? When we come back, Donna, I want you to go over the league, because one thing Cal just said something is very important. And he was saying how they take these young players, they push them in the right direction, tell them over and over, and sooner or later they get it. Donna, you've been with me for 25 years and you still picking wrong. I'll be back in a minute. See what you got to say.
That would not be me. Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players, along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com, Speakers Bureau.
Welcome back. So, we're about to hit this last segment of the show. We're going to tear this bad boy up, but at the same time, we've learned a lot this week, but we do not know what's going around the league, Donna. Is it a changing of the guard? Now these young players just getting better? Are the players like me getting old?
Well, Tony, I'm glad you said that, because we learned one thing up in Baltimore. You put the ball in Derrick Henry's hand, and he gets 199 yards. That first one, ball in his hand, 87 yards. Tony, Baltimore, have they started turning the corners? They beat up on the Buffalo Bills, who was undefeated coming into this game.
I think they're the most complete team in the league, and now that they have a big running back, and you take that onus off of your quarterback and let him just be the quarterback he needs to be and make the runs he needs to run. Running is the emphasis of your offense. Defense is stopping everyone. I think you have a team there that if they do not get ahead of themselves, they are the team to beat this year. I said that last year. But at the same time, one thing I like about this team, not that they lay complacent, not that they whine about losing. They came and they went out and made themselves better. And now they are, at this point, the best team in football at this point. And that includes Kansas City.
Tony, ain't no way. Hey, wait a minute, everybody. You gotta jump in on this one. I'm giving all of you an opportunity to jump on this.
I heard it. I heard it.
The Ravens are not the best team in football right now. Tony, they beat this week Buffalo. Before that, Tony, they couldn't even see their way around because
put it on your calendar so I can call you out later in the year.
Hey, Cal, is the Baltimore Ravens the best team in football right now?
So, well, before I answer that, Don, I'm curious because Tony on one breath says it's too early to be, crowning anybody anything. But then after one game, the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in football. So I'm just
because I said they were good in preseason.
Like, which one is it? No, but obviously, playing for the franchise, love to see them do well also. And coming into the season, that on paper they were already going to be a team to be reckoned with. And off to a slow start, just one of those crapshoots sometimes when you say lack of a preseason and trying to gel and get chemistry with guys. But I think it's want to be one of those games that it was a statement game for them, and they'll use this going just racking up more and more momentum into the season.
Alice, got to come to you. Minnesota Vikings 4-0 still. Everybody thought that they were dead in the water. They had pretty much dominated Green Bay and almost let Green Bay come back and beat them 31-29. Minnesota Vikings still the only one of the undefeated teams. How do you see the Vikings?
Quite a story. I mean, with the Commanders, those two teams, I think, are sort of the talk of the league right now. They're both surprises. If you think about it, Minnesota's really on like their third quarterback. They had Kirk Cousins. He goes to Atlanta. They draft a fellow from Michigan, McCarthy. He gets hurt. So they're on quarterback number 3, and all he's done is produce. Like the Commanders, they seem to be playing all 3 facets. They have a good defense. Minnesota, they jumped out to whatever it was, 28-0 or whatever it was at Green Bay. That game was not in Minnesota. That was a division game on the road, and they did that to the Packers. They're really good. I mean, listen, they're not going to go to 17-0, I don't think. I think the Miami Dolphins of 72 can rest easy. That said, every year, like Tony said, sometimes teams, kind of these young teams or seemingly unexpected good teams, are great. And then teams you think are going to be great, like Philadelphia, maybe like Dallas, they're not. This is why we watch, because we don't know how it's going to turn out. But right now, Minnesota, very impressive what they're doing.
Tony, the Pittsburgh Steelers, another team that was undefeated until Sunday, and Indianapolis Colts beat them 27-24. Joe Flacco, remember that name?
Joe Flacco.
He had to come in for Anthony Richardson, who got knocked out, hip injury. How do you see the Pittsburgh Steelers right now? Because they're facing Dallas coming up.
I just can't believe I may have sacked Joe Flacco, and I've been out of the game 40 years. I can't believe he's still doing it. But at the same time, every time, and even last year when they had opportunity to go to Cleveland, where they felt something hit them in their back this year, and that was their change from all that money they gave that no playing quarterback that's there now. But at the same time, Joe Flacco is a player. That tells you right there that, yeah, but you look at Pittsburgh. We can look at that one loss. We can look at what transpired at that time. But you look at, they took this team without a quarterback last year, and they threatened everyone to be one of the better teams in the league. This year, they have 2 quarterbacks. They have a better defense, and they have a team that is only going to give you 17 points. So I look at this. This Pittsburgh team is dangerous. They lost that game. But don't take it away from Flacco. A lot of people you got to remember, he's been in Super Bowls. He's been in tough situations, and he played well last year. So, therefore, I'm not surprised at either. But at the same time, I think Pittsburgh is going to make some noise.
Yeah, Tony, you said that. You already crowned in Baltimore the win a Super Bowl. But let's
Child, I can't believe you jumped in that corner like that, man. You,
No, it was an unbiased
do
opinion.
you know they still call my name in the streets up here in Boston?
We pay attention, but let's jump right to Houston. They came back and beat Jacksonville 24-20. CJ Strong touchdown with 18 seconds left. Cal, is Houston for real? I mean, they had a game that they stumbled and they came back and won this. How do you see this Texans team right now?
Man, who do they have? Let me check FanDuel. Who they got next week? No, I'm kidding. But Houston, it's another one of those. No, it is interesting, Donna. The league this year, and you talked about the surprising with the Commanders, Sam Darnold, what he's been able to do out in not Green Bay, but out in Minnesota. Baker Mayfield. I mean, he played well last year, but a lot of teams you thought would get off to a great start, having some surprising teams out there as well. But the thing that I kind of CJ Stroud, even I feel like maybe there's a little more tape on him this year. I don't know. Possibly he's I don't want to use the word regress as in comparing him to like a Jalen Hurts type of level where he is now. But this for that game to be that close to Jacksonville, I don't I just Houston. I don't know right now. I don't know right now. I think it's too early to tell with them because there's just not enough body of work out there. But all that leads me to say that the difference is now with the Tony. So you mentioned changing another guard, right? Is always things that we could bank on. Back in the golden age of quarterback plays, I like to call it. You had your Flaccos, you had your Tom Brady's, you had your Drew Brees, you had your Ben Roethlisbergers, you had your. You always knew that those teams were going to be competitive year in year out, and it was going to be a battle to see who represents each side for the Super Bowl. But now, I mean, it's anybody's. It's a toss up. It's anybody's game. So I think but that's what makes it interesting. It makes it exciting.
Yeah, Tony, I'm gonna let you have the last word because the Commanders have Cleveland coming up, and one player that has digressed is Deshaun Watson. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe it was just too much money in his pocket that is weighing down his talent right now.
Maybe he's not a football player anymore. Let's be truthful about it. He's been paid. He should have been out there. He's been given a second chance. I feel no sorrow whatsoever. He need to get out there and work on his craft because they did take a chance on him. I think it's insane to give anybody that kind of money anyway because you take away their thought process and their working thought process that they need to have. So when I take a look at that, I feel sorry for Cleveland. I don't feel sorry for him because he's still getting paid. And at the same time, he might as well look for another profession after this year.
In the Minute with Tony and Donna. You can catch them weekly on their podcast, and you could also subscribe to their YouTube channel, In the Minute.
One more thing.
We got one more thing that we need to do this week. Next week, you have to get your pens and pencils out. We're going to have the pro picks of the week. And each person that's involved with that to get an opportunity to pick who they think are going to win on the Sunday and Monday night game. We already got contestants. Want you to watch because we may even sign you up. So you come back next week and take a look at it. Speaking of coming back next week, we're going to be back here. Hopefully we can talk the same game. But one thing we know is always the same. We never say goodbye. We say, in the minute.